I can't remember it.
Hello.
Oh. You go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Remind podcast. It is a fresh year. Happy New Year to all of our listeners and all of our followers. And if you're listening and not following, go ahead and click that follow button or subscribe on whatever platform that you're on. Welcome back. We hope that you had an amazing Christmas break. How is everyone? How are you, Dave?
Yeah, well, 2024. It's the year of the Remind podcast now, isn't it? It'll be our first full year. We started this probably April, May last year. But yes, it's been a big time for holidays, a big time for Christmas and New Year's. So happy New Year, everyone. Hope you had a great Christmas. I hope things weren't too over the top. But boy, I don't know about you, Ash, but I'm feeling it. It's like this
Mm.
sense of, oh, I really don't want to do much. There's been a lot that's been going on. It's like that. I don't know. You come out of this mad time, and then you want to be doing things, and you know that you want to be really pushing hard, but part of you just like, nah, not today. How are you feeling about that?
I love it. I think there's been plenty of opportunity through sickness. And I know we recorded an episode last year on stillness and rest. And
Mm,
it's really interesting because I've had a couple of seasons of sickness, and also a really close friend of mine has been navigating chronic fatigue. And we
wow.
have lots of conversations around this because there's been times where my friend has been on the couch for months and really, really just been surrendering. It's been a big lesson in surrender. And
Mm,
I can really resonate with that. There's been a couple of seasons, I'm recovering again at the minute. There's been a couple of seasons where I've been sick, and the growth and learning and healing and restoration that can actually come through that forced rest. I find that I've had a series of times in my life where it's almost like I've neglected the rest and haven't prioritized that stillness in my life. And so sickness comes and bang, smacks me down and forces me to have that rest. And I think it's interesting to observe initially the restlessness and frustration that comes up, even the word restlessness that
mm,
comes up when you're sick, and that compulsive drive and the compulsive desire that you should be doing something productive, or that resting isn't productive or it's not important.
mm.
So,
Oh well, I've got that. There's laundry that needs to be done. The house needs to be clean. The garden's getting to a point where it needs some attention. There's boxes everywhere from presents being opened that still haven't made its way out to the recycling bin just yet. And here I am still there going, I really don't feel like getting out of bed, or I'll get out of bed to make my way to the couch. Great. And the judgment that I have on
mm,
myself, and that feeling is just sort of like, I could be doing so much more today, but it's all like, but I don't know why I'm feeling this tired, but obviously there's a message in it. Need to slow down, need to recoup, and or maybe just need to learn to be okay with doing that.
yeah. Or how can we incorporate some more stillness in our day-to-day life so that we don't have to have the smackdown?
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be ideal if we could constantly moderate it, but there are just times like this time of the year, just find someone that could navigate this period of time perfectly. I'm certainly
Yeah,
not one of them. You get it's
100%.
like I'm going to jump in a boat, I'm going to run down the rapids, and I'm going to try and be still. Hmm. But yeah, it's an amazing, I suppose, opportunity, as you said, to try and do that. The
Yeah,
difference between still, resting, numbing, all of
it's
that.
crazy, isn't it? I'm going to share something from my own life. I was sick. This is possibly one of the most beautiful messages I've ever had in my whole entire life. But I was sick and I had messaged my husband who was working away, and I was navigating running my business and seeing clients,
Mm.
keeping the house running and making sure we had food to eat and, doing the school drop offs and all the stuff because he wasn't here. And
Mm.
I got to the end of the day and just, getting up, doing breakfast, school drop off, that sort of stuff. I literally sat in bed, laid in bed, and I tried to do some work, but wasn't super productive. And I'm seeing this message I sent to him. I did nothing today. I achieved nothing today. I put on a load of washing. The spin cycle shook the box of washing powder onto the floor, spilled everywhere. I didn't even pick it up. I'm a rebel.
What a
And
mess.
then I wrote, also, a spider dropped from the roof while I was in the laundry, and I was so lethargic and despondent, I didn't even bother trying to get rid of it. Run free, little one. And I really, like, I meant it when I wrote that. I looked at my day and was like, oh my gosh, I did nothing today. I achieved nothing today. And this is what he wrote back. Today you were a mum, and not just any sort of mum. You were the best mum that our children could have. Today you navigated the roads safely to get them to school. You gathered lunches so they wouldn't be hungry. Today you smiled when you picked them up after school, and that warmed their hearts. You loved them so well today. You did heaps more than you even know. I am disappointed about the spider though. Literally what he wrote. And I'm sharing that because it was a real reality check for me.
Mm.
It was a reality check to check my nothing,
Mm.
and it was such a gift. I mean, we're in the season of gift giving, and that was such a gift for me to go, where did I learn that those things were nothing? That those things were taken for granted. I've always been a working mum. And so
Mm.
why does the achievement in my day have to be tied to what I'm achieving for work?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a beautiful message and a beautiful sentiment, and it just really, when you read it out, just sort of goes to show how much we've forgotten these little things, the value of them.
Mm,
And so when we go through the day and we say all I achieved was, and in your message, it was the laundry. Okay, so the scorecard for today was going to be, oh, I had a productive day if I did the laundry, cleaned the house, did these work things that I know that probably scheduled for today, and do this and do
mm,
that. That's a productive day,
yeah.
as opposed to showing up as a person. And look, me the same. I'm right in it at the moment. It's sort of like what I should have done today and what I will be doing today are two different things. And being okay with that, because I'm going to bed with the garden looking the same, the laundry not being done, the boxes are still going to be there, and it even just feels weird saying that. So like, apart from recording this, I'm not going to be doing anything else. And to me, that's not a high value day. So it's really weird to feel. But this is part of what I have to get used to. That obviously my body is feeling this way for a reason, and I have to start to take note about what I'm doing and how I've been showing up in the last 3 or 4 days, and the things that I've been doing, how it's sort of all culminated into that, and what I will be doing in the next days or week. So
Mm.
in this particular episode, I'm more of an observationer or observer. Fuck, I can't even speak properly.
That's all
Like,
right.
guys, you've got me on a great day.
No, I love that. And I mean, it's also the season for New Year's resolutions, isn't it?
Mm, yeah.
Everyone, and I always find that so weird. Like, it's kind of the equivalent of going, I want to start a diet. But before I start the diet, I'm going to eat all the bad stuff in the house.
Well, it's like the last meal, right? It's like the last rites before
How
it all
many
happens.
yeah, but how
As
many
a
people's last supper has actually been their last supper? They've probably done more harm in doing that and then falling off the wagon of their behavior change.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and I think it's a way to sort of give people the motivation to sort of say clean slate, move forward.
yeah,
But yes, it also allows you to then sort of allow yourself to fall into the trap of I'll do whatever I like in the lead up to it because I know that I'm going to put my full effort into it at that point in time.
yeah,
And also for myself, I'm going through a bit of a process of reducing quite significantly sugar and carbs in my diet. And it just happened. I felt like it. It's not easy because damn the cravings are they're there. Like they are
mhm,
there. Um, but it wasn't. It's sort of set. I kept on getting prompts from different areas, like watching things on TikTok for the established listeners. You know, I'm a doom scroller. But just other areas, and I know how I feel when I eat carbs and processed food and sugar, and I'm normally eating those type of things just to simply just get the sensation. Like I'm not
yeah,
eating it because I actually need it.
mhm,
And so now I'm just really eating stuff which is just basically salads, vegetables, meat. It's pretty boring, but the body feels better. I'm not as hungry, but I'm going to say there's less sort of mouth feedback. There's less feel good about the actual process of eating.
yeah.
So
Are
it's
you
almost like,
crunchy food?
oh,
I
like
find
if you
crunch is
can,
my sensory, like, I
if
don't
you
know,
could,
my sensory soothing.
if you could deep fry it, that is like my number one everything. It's got the crunch, it's got the oil, it's got the batter, it's got
Oh,
the salt. You're gonna deep fry sweet things. I won't discriminate. So, but yeah, the whole reason I went on that little rant was because when it came along, I just sort of it'd been sitting there for a while, and I'd been pushing it away and pushing it away, and then I've embraced it, and for now, it seems to be working.
side
Um,
note,
mm,
cravings, protein. Have protein first thing in the morning. Protein, have at least 30 grams of protein each meal, and
oh
that
yeah,
did wonders for cravings for me.
yeah, awesome.
Basically, all the cravings disappeared. Hot tip for our listeners out there.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of the
um,
reason why I'm feeling a bit lethargic as well as
maybe.
all of that stuff starting to flush out of the system.
Yeah. So coming back to the doing nothing, the concept of doing nothing and what that means, something that I'm going to really commit to this year is really owning what I guess being intentional about what nothing means to me. Because even a judgment of nothing, doing nothing is still something. So
Oh, yeah, actually,
re-
that raises a very good point. Then,
reframing
what
what
is
is
nothing?
nothing. Yeah, because nothing, as soon as I said I have done nothing, I felt a physical response in my body of negativity. Like I felt
Mm.
negative emotions come up, like and yeah, it didn't feel good. And so I would challenge our listeners or viewers, what does nothing mean to you? And when you are doing nothing, what are you actually doing? Is it you feel like you're doing nothing if you have a sleep in? Is it like,
Mm.
what is it to you? And if it wasn't doing nothing, what are you doing instead? Because in my case, I can see how we've got this sliding priority, right? Where if I'm well and I have a good capacity and I've got good energy, then the things that I want to be doing, I have the capacity to do them and they can get done. But
Mm.
those things don't get to keep the same priority. They have to have a sliding priority. And so when I don't have capacity or when I am unwell, which things remain a high priority? So, like feeding my kids, pretty high priority.
Yeah, but I think just a bit like you, we sort of almost take those things for granted of
Mm,
ourself.
yeah,
That it's sort of like actually that is a nothing thing.
yeah.
Or you know what, keeping your patience and your temper when you have no capacity is also a nothing thing.
Yes. And so,
Like,
but I love that. I love when you're saying it's a nothing thing. It's nothing, but it's so big.
well, it's a nothing
Like,
thing.
to today,
It's still a
I
thing.
yeah, honor, and how powerful is that? Like, honoring ourselves for today, I took a breath when my whole body wanted to scream.
Mm.
Imagine if we ticked that off on our achievement list today, instead of everything else that we didn't get done. Like, how amazing is that? Yeah, you're a better person because you took a
Mm.
breath and created a pause when your body was telling you you were struggling.
Well, take for example this podcast, and we'll take one theme that we talk about, which is healing. How often do we talk about, like, when you have to think about what is healing? A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is the grueling part. It's the active part.
Mm,
It's the go and face your fears, do the work, do all of that. Now, we don't disregard the time for rest and healing and nurturing yourself. But like as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, can you actually be healing if you're doing nothing? Because like for
oh,
me, it's sort of like, no, healing is like 90% go out there and you really got to face your fears. You got to do this. You got to bang, 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 bang. And maybe 10% is the recovery after the battle, right?
yeah.
And as I'm thinking that, I'm like, David, that's not healthy.
Yeah, and also it's not necessarily when the stuff happens, right? I during this period of being unwell, had another friend who was unwell, and I sent a message and just said, "Hey, so um what's God been doing in you? what's what's he been restoring in you during this season of being
Mm,
unwell? Because for me, this is all the stuff that he's brought to the surface." And it's almost like, okay, you have busied yourself and you're not listening. So let
mm,
me create stillness and quiet so that you can hear my voice. And it's not a punishment. It's not like I'm being punished for not listening, but it's relational. It's about going, "Oh my gosh, God loves me so much." And in that stillness, in that moment of stillness, he's showing me the areas of my heart that need to be restored, that need to be renewed, bringing to the surface some things that are not, not coming with me into the next season for where he wants to
mm,
take me, and where, I guess, where he wants to take my ministry. I can't take those parts of my heart into that. It's not going to serve me there. And so I need to restore that. I need to renew that. So, what is coming to the surface in those times? What's bubbling up? Oh boy, sometimes
yeah.
it's not a matter of like when I say, "God, show me the parts of my heart that you want to restore, you want to heal." He doesn't go, "Are you sure? You sure you want to see that?" Because
Mm,
he's like, "Okay, buckle up, girlfriend."
mm-mm. And part of me, when you're saying that, is thinking, or is it a test from the universe? You know, it's, and I know that, I know in my situation right now, I feel it's not, but it's very difficult to sort of know what's a test versus what is something you're meant to be listening to,
I
because
think
you,
should we not listen to our tests?
well,
I think we should
but
absolutely
but
listen to our
from
tests.
from a sense of you're being tested, will you push through this feeling and still get those things done. Versus this is actually us telling you, the universe saying, slow down. It's okay. It doesn't always have to be a push, a fight. It doesn't always have to be about constant sort of active shadow work. It doesn't have to always be about pounding onto the next door or pushing through the releasing of the trauma. There is some times where you need to slow down, but the ego, or there's still something within you that says, well, if I'm not doing anything, I'm doing nothing. And if I'm doing nothing, I'm failing, or I'm
Yeah.
failing a test, or I'm
Yeah.
failing this. And so part of me recognizes that your intuition talks to you through passion and excitement, where fear is usually something that's, when it's talking to you, it's coming from an ego or a trauma or something like that. So if you feel a little bit broken, it's okay to nurture yourself. It's not a time to bash yourself in the head, because your intuition or your higher self does not want that for you. It never wants that for you. So exactly as you're saying about when it comes to what's God doing with your heart, we're quite aligned. Our terminology is a little bit different, but it's sort of like there's something within, as you're saying, your heart, which is judging you from not doing anything.
Mm.
And so it's actually, you are doing something, you are processing something, even if that is to recognize that
The
when
test.
you and the test isn't to actually, David, go do the gardening, clean the boxes out, do the laundry, and tick off the things that are sitting in your diary right next to your left hand. No, that could be the test. If it was the ego saying you must get those done, and then I'll get it done and I'll crawl past the finish line fairly broken, going, you can't stop me. Or the test could be, can you allow yourself to know that you are enough without doing these things?
Yeah.
Can you be okay with the healing journey being a bit still for a while?
Hmm.
It's like, it even just came to me, you know, working out. You don't build the muscle when you're actually lifting the heavy weights. You're actually tearing the muscle. The
Mm.
muscle building is actually in the recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, um, my bicep hurt when I said that. I wonder what that means.
I had some really amazing revelation come to my mind, and then it just went straight out.
The front door was open, but also the back door. Whoosh.
Yeah, yeah. I now let me think. What was it? What was I gonna say?
Well, we were talking about just the test
Yeah.
of, is the test to push you to constantly be active if that's what you're feeling, because I think between you and I, we're similar. That could manifest for people differently, or could it be a test to be okay with the opposite of what that is, and to
Mm.
do that without judgment, which
Ah, yes, it just came back to me. It was on values and how important it is to know what your values are and what your priorities are.
mm,
Because as you were talking, obviously, this is what dropped into me is that, like I was talking about this sliding scale, if we don't know what's really important to us, then everything remains urgent, everything remains important, and our whole to do list remains things to be done. And even self
mm,
care is a doing task.
mm,
Most people's self care is stuff that they need to do. But the problem is when our capacity for doing is so much limited or so much less, even doing self care is not honoring ourselves because we don't have the capacity for all the doing. And so, this is why a lot of
mm,
people in those busy seasons will go, oh, all the things that I know I'm meant to be doing fall away because I'm in survival mode, trying to just do the things that need to be done. Like, if we don't earn money, we can't feed our kids. That has to be a priority,
mm.
right? Um, insert your other existential priorities here. So, if those priorities that are necessary for our existence and our actual survival take up all of our capacity, well, then there is no capacity left for more doing of self care. So, if we don't have the capacity to do self care, what's the other kind of self care? It's the undoing. So, undoing is taking everything off the list that isn't actually an urgent priority, that isn't
Mm,
actually a um, well, as I said, an urgent priority, not necessary for survival at this time, and redistributing those things. And I ask myself the question, to be honest, one of the things that comes off my list is emails and inbox messages. And sometimes most people know I'm very, very good at responding. They'll
mhm,
get a same day response. But sometimes when I'm in that season, like when I was sick, I didn't reply to an email for a week. And that was something. Is it important to me? Yes. Do I value communication? Yes, absolutely, I do.
mm,
But if the capacity that I had for any kind of work capacity was that, or the stuff that was essential for the survival of myself, survival of my kids, and bare minimum survival of my business, then those things have to take priority. And that undoing, what are the things you cannot do, is really important awareness, because that undoing is caring for ourselves when
mm.
our self is trying to survive.
All these things are interlinked, yeah. So I want to bring in just for a moment. Hopefully won't turn into a completely new side tangent. Just a little moment, but in a responsible way, how do you learn the concept of abundance if you're constantly chasing something? So, for argument's sake, to be able to be okay in knowing that, yes, I have everything that I need for this moment right now,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to I have to constantly always chase because I'm constantly worried at some point in time in the future, I can't afford to put the roof over my head. I can't pay for the kids' stuff. Like, how far in the future are you now based on the money you've got?
Mm,
It's sort of like that's more about bringing it in. So if you're constantly chasing that out there, then maybe when you're slowing down, if the slowing down is triggered or starts to trigger, but if I don't do this, I haven't got the mortgage payment in 4 months' time. Okay, what do you have next month? Do you have the month after that? Okay, all right. So it's quite funny how some of these concepts are actually interlinked. That when you come back to what are you being shown within yourself, like you said, in your heart
mm.
during these slow times, it's actually quite powerful the more we dig into it.
It is. It's really
Because
powerful. And
mm,
most of the things that we're shown are the compulsions. It's the
mm,
compulsions, it's the judgments. When you even just sit with the concept of undoing, undoing is my favorite kind of self care. If you, when I say undoing, sometimes for me that looks like I knocked the washing powder. Well, I didn't, the washing machine knocked the washing powder onto the
as it
floor.
was as it was walking its way across the laundry, yeah, we get
I
it.
walked past and I saw it, and my heart kind of went, ugh. And then I kept walking.
Yep,
It was like, you know what? That's a future Ash problem.
yep.
Future Ash who has more energy and capacity for this situation than current Ash currently has.
Mm. And legend has it, it's still there.
You'll be pleased to know it was cleaned up.
Good job, I'm
Um,
sure. I couldn't help myself.
yes, but yeah, no, I just basically left it there and used the scoop to
Hmm.
every time I did a load. No, not really.
Perfect.
um, yeah, so I
Mm,
really love this whole concept of undoing. It's my favorite kind of self care.
mm,
And as we start to wrap up, I think I would really encourage people. to get clear on what's important to you this year. Get clear on what are your non-negotiables. I know we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis, and that's really hard.
Mm,
And we're at a season where there are more expenses, and we've just wanted to, you know, provide for our families and all that kind of
mm,
stuff over that Christmas season. But what's really important to you this year? What does that look like? And what are some things that you have been carrying around that you could drop off? And when I say things that you've been carrying around, I'm talking about emotional baggage. I'm talking about
mm,
pressure. I'm talking about expectations. I'm talking about all those kinds of things. What can you come into agreement with that that's not serving you anymore and just put it down? Take it off your to worry about list.
Undo it.
Undo it. What's the year of the undoing?
The art of undoing.
Ooh. Undoing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well,
Mm.
guys, it's been like there's definitely different energy in today's
It's really
episode.
different energy, isn't it? We're
Um,
both a little bit scattered and
I know I feel a bit groggy, feel a bit whatever. I'm sure there's going to have to be a few edited swearing beeps added into it before it goes live. But let us know, what do you think? What's your New Year's resolutions? Mine personally is to the same as it's been always, and one that I've stuck to religiously for a while, and it's not to listen to AM radio. And so, set the bar low, you get to achieve it.
oh dear. Love it.
Anyway, until next week, enjoy your
Yeah.
2024, people.
Yeah. Looking forward to joining you. See you guys.
See ya. Bye bye.